What if someone you loved walked out of the door and never came back? No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. That nightmare isn't just the stuff of movies. It's the chilling reality behind some of Britain's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Today we're diving into 3 cases that shook the UK, 3 ordinary days that turned into decades of unanswered questions. Each case is filled with strange clues, possible sightings, and theories that range from the believable to the bizarre. And yet decades later, the truth still lies just out of reach. These aren't just names in old case files. They were real people, with families, friends, and futures stolen by mystery. So tonight, we're reopening 3 of Britain's darkest cold cases. Maybe, just maybe, the missing pieces will finally start to make sense. 3 cases, 3 mysteries, and still no answers. Welcome to Echoes of the Unknown, where we delve into the unsolved, the unexplained, and the downright unbelievable. My name is James, and today we're looking at 3 cases that still haunt the United Kingdom to this very day. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and stick around for more updates. Here are 3 chilling unsolved UK mysteries, Volume 2. On July 28, 1986, a young estate agent named Suzy Lamplugh left her West London office around lunchtime to show a property to a client. That appointment was noted in her work diary, 12:45 Mr. Kipper, 37 Shorrells Road. It was the last entry that she would ever make. Suzy never came back to the office. Her white Ford Fiesta was later found parked a mile and a half away near a pub in Fulham, with the driver's door unlocked, her purse still inside, and the handbrake off. It looked as though she had left in a hurry, or had been forced to. But of Suzy herself, there was no trace. The case immediately grabbed headlines. Here was a 25-year-old woman, smart, professional, and independent, who had simply vanished in broad daylight on a busy London street. The press ran with a mysterious name, Mr. Kipper. Who was he? A genuine client? A fake name designed to lure her out? Despite thousands of leads, Suzy's body was never found, and the mystery of Mr. Kipper became one of Britain's most enduring puzzles. Police inquiry was massive. Witnesses reported seeing Suzy speaking with a man outside the property. Some claimed they saw her later getting into a car. Accounts varied wildly, and no one could provide a clear, reliable description. Her car being left with the door unlocked and the keys missing suggested that she'd been abducted quickly, without time to think. Detectives considered dozens of suspects. One name loomed largest, that of John Cannon. Cannon was a convicted rapist and murderer, released from prison just 3 days before Suzy disappeared. He was known to use the nickname Kipper, and his history of violence against women made him a strong suspect. Police believed he could have posed as a potential buyer to lure Suzy into a trap. In fact, years later, the Metropolitan Police publicly stated that Cannon was their prime suspect. But without a body or direct evidence linking him to Suzy's disappearance, the Crown Prosecution Service ruled there wasn't enough to bring him to trial. Several theories have emerged over the decades. The John Cannon theory is the most prominent. In addition to the nickname connection, one witness recalled seeing a man resembling him near Suzy's abandoned car. Cannon was later convicted of the 1987 murder of Shirley Banks, as well as multiple SAs, cementing his reputation as one of Britain's most dangerous offenders. Many investigators, and even Suzy's family, believe that he was responsible. Another theory suggests Suzy may have been the victim of a random opportunistic attack, abducted by someone unrelated to her work. But this theory seems weaker, given the strange detail of the diary entry naming Mr. Kipper. And then there are those who have speculated about gang connections or secret relationships. Rumours surfaced that Suzy may have been targeted by criminals, or even that she led a double life. However, these were never substantiated, and her family always rejected these ideas. Suzy's disappearance devastated her family. Her parents, Paul and Diana, became tireless campaigners for victims of crime. They set up the Suzy Lamplugh Trust, a charity dedicated to improving personal safety and raising awareness about stalking and violence against women. The trust remains active today, helping people across the UK feel safer in their daily lives. But for Suzy's family, the hardest part has always been the lack of closure. In 1994, she was officially declared dead, presumed murdered. Yet without her remains, they've never been able to lay her to rest properly. Over the years, police have searched multiple sites linked to John Cannon. In 2002, they dug up a garage in Sutton Coldfield where they believed Suzy's body may have been hidden. In 2018, another excavation was carried out in Pershore, Worcestershire, following fresh information. Each time, though, nothing was found. The case remains open, with the Metropolitan Police still treating it as an unsolved murder. Suzy's case remains one of Britain's most famous disappearances for a reason. It has all the hallmarks of a chilling mystery: a cryptic diary entry, a promising young woman gone without a trace, and a prime suspect who may never face justice for her killing. But more than that, Suzy's story resonates because it speaks to a universal fear: the idea that we can be going about our ordinary lives, working, running errands, meeting someone for lunch, and in the blink of an eye, be swallowed by darkness. For nearly 40 years, the name Mr. Kipper has remained etched in the British imagination. Was he John Cannon? Was he someone else entirely? Or was he nothing more than a carefully chosen alias, leaving behind a trail of questions and no answers? One thing is for certain: after John Cannon's death in prison, we may never know. Until the truth is uncovered, Suzy Lamplug's disappearance will remain one of the most tragic and unsettling mysteries in the UK's history. On a warm Saturday afternoon in June 1990, Trevaline Evans, a 52-year-old antiques dealer from the Welsh border town of Llangollen, placed a handwritten sign on the door of her shop: "Back in 2 minutes." That was the last anybody ever saw or heard of her. Trevaline was well liked in her community. She ran a small antique shop on Church Street, lived quietly with her husband Richard, and was known as a kind and dependable woman. On that summer's day, she'd been busy with customers, chatting and laughing before stepping out sometime around lunchtime. She left behind her handbag, her car keys, and her jacket, things you wouldn't expect to leave behind if you planned to be gone for long. The disappearance stunned the small town. That sign on the shop door felt chillingly symbolic. She was supposed to be gone for just a moment, and yet, decades later, she has never returned. Police launched an immediate search. Her car, a dark blue Ford Escort, was still parked nearby. The handbag containing money and personal items sat untouched inside her shop. Nothing appeared stolen, and there was no signs of a struggle. Witnesses reported seeing Trevaline later that afternoon in Llangollen, possibly carrying a shopping bag and walking along the canal. Others claim they saw her in different parts of town, though the reliability of these sightings has always been questioned. The focus quickly shifted to her personal life. Her husband, Richard, a builder, had been renovating a property in the nearby town of Rhyl at the time of her disappearance. Police looked into him, as they often do with spouses, but he provided an alibi and was never charged with anything. He's always maintained his innocence, and no evidence has ever tied him to her vanishing. Over the years, several theories have emerged about what may have happened to Trevaline Evans. Some have speculated that she may have chosen to leave her life behind. She and her husband had suffered the devastating loss of their only child, a son also named Richard, who died tragically in 1972 at the age of 7. Friends said she never fully got over it. Should she have walked away to start fresh somewhere new? But if so, why leave her car, money and personal belongings behind? And how would she have pulled it off in such a small town without being spotted? Another theory is that Trevaline may have met someone she trusted that day. Perhaps she stepped out to speak with them, intended to be only a few moments, and something went horribly wrong. The fact that she left her things behind suggests she didn't plan to be away for very long. There are also theories that Trevaline may have fallen victim to a random predator, but in broad daylight, in a small town bustling with locals and tourists, how could someone have abducted her without anybody noticing? At the time, she and her husband had been renovating both their home and another property. Police explored whether someone connected to the work, perhaps a labourer or an acquaintance, might have been involved. But again, no solid leads ever emerged. The case was re-examined multiple times, most recently in 2010, the 20th anniversary of her disappearance. Police admitted they were no closer to any answers. The file remains open, with detectives saying they'll pursue any new leads that come in. Technology such as DNA analysis has been suggested, but with no crime scene or body, there's little evidence to test. What investigators are left with is a puzzle built mostly on witness statements, and after so many years, memories fade and details blur. The case of Trevaline Evans is haunting because of its sheer simplicity. She didn't vanish on a lonely road at night or during some risky adventure. She stepped outside her shop on a sunny afternoon in a small, safe town and never came back. That handwritten sign, "Back in 2 minutes," has become a symbol of her case. It captures the ordinariness of her last known action, an extraordinary mystery that followed after. Friends and locals often describe how Llangollen has never truly forgotten Trevaline. Every few years, her story returns to the headlines, reminding people that even in the most ordinary places, dark mysteries can still unfold. For her family, the pain has been relentless. Her husband Richard, before his death in 1999, spoke of how he could not move on without knowing what had happened to his wife. He died without any answers. To this day, no remains, no evidence, and no confirmed sightings of Trevaline have ever surfaced. She quite literally seemed to vanish into thin air. Was she lured away by someone she trusted? Did she fall victim to an opportunistic attacker? Or did she, as some whisper, decide to walk away from her life and never look back? With every passing year, the mystery only deepens. And just like Suzy, the absence of answers has turned Trevaline's disappearance into one of Britain's most chilling and enduring unsolved mysteries. On the night of November 2nd, 1996, 16-year-old Damien Nettles left his home on the Isle of Wight to spend the evening with friends. He was a tall, lanky teenager, known for his sharp sense of humour and easygoing personality. That night he was seen in Cowes, a quiet harbour town, laughing, joking, and behaving like any teenager would on a Saturday night. Sometime after 10:30 p.m, Damien vanished. Despite numerous witness accounts, CCTV footage and years of investigation, what happened to him remains one of Britain's most baffling unsolved mysteries. Damien left his home that night with just £10 in his pocket. He met up with friends, went to a party and later headed into Cowes town centre. At around 11 p.m, CCTV captured him near a chip shop, appearing slightly intoxicated and joking around. He was seen buying chips, laughing, and even playfully messing with a signpost. This footage is the last confirmed sighting of Damien. Witnesses later claimed to have seen him wandering the streets, at one point knocking on doors, possibly confused or disoriented. Others said he got into a car, though these reports were never confirmed. What is certain is that by the following morning, Damien was gone, and he's never been seen again. At first, police assumed Damien had run away or was staying with friends. But as the hours turned into days and the days into weeks, the reality became undeniable. Damien had vanished without a trace. His mother, Valerie, became the driving force behind the search. She has spent decades campaigning, demanding answers, and refusing to let her son's name fade from the headlines. Police investigation, however, has been heavily criticised. Officers failed to secure all the available CCTV from that night. Much of it was erased before being reviewed. Potential witnesses weren't properly interviewed, and early lines of inquiry were missed. By the time the seriousness of the case was acknowledged, crucial evidence was already gone. In 2011, police announced they were treating Damien's disappearance as a possible murder. Several men were arrested over the years, many connected to the local drug scene. The theory emerged that Damien may have crossed paths with drug dealers in Cowes that night, perhaps accidentally, and paid the ultimate price. Yet no charges have ever been brought, and every suspect was released. As with so many unsolved cases, speculation runs rampant. The most widely discussed theory is that Damien stumbled into trouble with local drug dealers. Some say he owed money, while others believed he may have witnessed something he shouldn't have. There are rumours that his body was disposed of at sea, but nothing has ever been proven. Another theory is that Damien, intoxicated, may have had an accident, perhaps falling into the water near the harbour. Extensive searches of the river and sea turned up nothing. Some suggest Damien may have accepted a lift from someone that night, not realising the danger. The witness reports of him getting into a car fuel this theory, and none of these accounts could be fully verified. Perhaps the most haunting theory isn't about what happened to Damien, but what didn't happen after. The early failures in the investigation left holes so large they may never be filled. Key evidence is gone, timelines are uncertain, and the chance of recovery grows slimmer with each passing year. Valerie Nettles, Damien's mother, the agony is ongoing. She's described the pain of not knowing as a life sentence. She's campaigned tirelessly for justice, appearing in documentaries, giving interviews, and even speaking in Parliament to raise awareness about missing persons cases. Her determination has kept Damien's story alive, but it has also highlighted the devastating failures in the early investigation. The police acted faster and treated the case more seriously from the beginning. Valerie believes the family may have answers today. The disappearance of Damien Nettles is particularly chilling because it could happen to anyone. A teenager goes out for the evening in a safe, close-knit community and simply doesn't come home. Unlike some missing persons cases, Damien's story is not buried in obscurity. It has been featured on Crime Watch, investigated in multiple documentaries, and remains one of the most well-known unsolved cases in the UK. And yet, despite the attention, no breakthrough has ever come. What makes this case so tragic is the overwhelming sense that answers were within reach, but slipped away due to a combination of bad luck, human error, and possible cover-ups. Almost 30 years later, the questions remain the same. What happened to Damien that night? Did he fall victim to a violent gang? Did he have an accident that nobody witnessed? Or is the truth somewhere darker, somewhere hidden behind the silence of those who knew more than they've ever admitted? The case is still officially open, and police insist they'll act on any new information they find. For Valerie Nettles and the rest of Damien's family, every year without answers deepens the wound. Damien's disappearance is more than just an unsolved mystery. It's a reminder of the fragility of everyday life, the flaws of human institutions, and the enduring pain of families left in limbo. Until the truth comes out, Damien's case will remain one of the Isle of Wight's most haunting and heartbreaking mysteries. Three names, three lives, three mysteries that have haunted Britain for decades. Suzy Lamplugh, a young professional with a whole future ahead of her, vanished in the middle of the day after meeting a mysterious Mr. Kipper. Trevaline Evans, a respected shopkeeper, stepped out of her antique store for just a moment and never returned. And Damien Nettles, a teenager with dreams and a bright personality, disappeared into the night streets of Cowes, leaving behind a trail of questions and heartbreak. Different ages, different backgrounds, different towns. Yet all three cases share the same chilling theme. Ordinary people going about their daily lives, swallowed by extraordinary and terrifying circumstances. Despite decades of investigation, media attention, and even DNA breakthroughs, the truth still lies buried. What makes these cases so haunting is not only the lack of answers, but the lives they represent. Lives cut short, families left in limbo, and communities scarred by uncertainty. In each case, theories abound. Were these people victim of chance encounters, targeted by predators, or caught up in something larger? We may never know. Their stories serve as a stark reminder that behind every headline is a human being whose absence continues to echo through the years. Until the day the truth comes to light, Suzy, Trevaline, and Damien remain symbols of the enduring power of mystery and of the relentless pursuit of justice their families still carry to this day. Thank you for watching this episode of Echoes of the Unknown. What do you think happened to Suzy, Trevaline, and Damien? Pop your theories below, and please spare a thought for the families and loved ones, as those left behind are the ones that truly suffer. If you like our content and would like to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember to stay safe and keep listening for the echoes.